right, so our very first cookie that we're going to discuss beyond the biscotti is going to be your first cream cookie. This is a very important cookie. A Spritz cookie shows a couple of different skill sets. It shows piping, it shows proper creaming method, it shows proper ingredient blending, and it is part of your practical exam for this class. You're going to have to make a dozen Spritz cookies. So what we're going to go through today is the proper way to cream that Spritz cookie. And it starts first off with room temperature butter. So you'll notice by just touching this, that's room temperature. Okay, it's not soft and like liquid, but it's not cold right out of the fridge. So we're going to put that room temperature. Now, what's the best way to get your butter room temperature? Go ahead and scale it off and leave it out the night before. Most places, 70 degrees is fine. Okay. So we're going to put that butter in there. We're going to add our sugar. This is granulated sugar. Now the granulated sugar is important for this because what the granulated sugar is doing for the creaming method is the sugar is cutting through the fat. Basically kind of like sandpaper. And it allows it to actually get creamy. Now when you start this up, it gets a little loud. You got to get that butter down in there on the bottom. We're going to stop a couple of times and I'm going to show you what you're going to see. So, first you're going to see something that looks like this. That's not good. So what you do is you stop the machine. You'll notice I took it off of the machine itself. Okay? Take it off, remove it, come in and get all of that product into the bottom of the bowl. Okay? So, now, as it's mixing, it's actually doing its work. What happens with centrifugal force is it throws it up to the side and then of course it doesn't really mix anything. You need it to actually cream for about a solid minute and a half. Now during that creaming method, when that's all going on, do things like hold the edge of the bowl up. Make sure you're paying close attention when you're doing this. And I'm making that nice and soft and fluffy. Now, can you over cream? Of course you can. You can let this go for 3 or 4 minutes and what happens is it gets so soft that it's almost like runny. Because there is a point of no return. So, once again, taking the machine off, coming in and making sure. So now I've got this nice fluffy mixture. You can see it's even changed in color. It's turned white. I can go ahead and take my vanilla extract and my 1 egg. Okay. Put that down at the bottom. And what I'm going to do, since I'm making a small batch here, is actually start by breaking it up in the bowl before I put it back on the machine. Okay. Put it on the machine. Once again, I can lift, and then stop. Once again, taking it off the machine. I know it seems painstaking, like more steps than you've ever done at home before, but this is the sign of the professional and not the rookie. Like you actually know that you get all of that egg incorporated and all that vanilla where it's supposed to be. Okay? Clean off the rubber spat. It's a very easy cookie to make, and you can actually put colors and things in it. For class this time around, don't put colors in it, but when it comes to Christmas time, you can do a little bit of green and pipe a little green. This is also the same batter you would put in one of those cookie presses. However, we don't use cookie presses in the industry. We use a piping bag and a tip. So once that comes together, I'm going to turn it down to low, and I'm going to add my dry ingredients. And I want to talk a little bit about those dry ingredients here in just a second, because there's something very unique about this recipe. If you turn to it, sugar, salt, vanilla, egg, cake flour. Okay, this is cake flour, which means our protein content is much lower, which makes a softer cookie. It's not going to develop a lot of gluten. But you'll notice that I have absolutely no leavening agent in here. There's no chemical leavening agent. We have a natural leavening agent. It's called steam. And that comes from the creaming method. So it's really, really important that you cream properly. And at this point, if you look into the bowl, you'll see some dry bits and pieces. This isn't good. Up to this point, you guys have been doing a lot of mixing with quick breads and things. And those quick breads were okay if they were a little undermixed. In this case, it's extremely important that you get everything scraped down and incorporated. Once you know you've got all that scraped down and incorporated, we've got a batter that is soft and pipeable. Okay? So we're going to take our piping bag. I've loaded a tip in. I've taken the tip and actually twisted it and pushed it down. I've not cut this yet. I'm going to show you. How much do you want? Now folks, I got really big hands. But even with big, strong hands, I'm not going to overload this bag. I need to be able to control the bag. We'll actually be able to fill this bag 2 times. Because if you overfill it, it's going to make it really hard to control. So that's the first one. It's about the size of a baseball. We're going to pull the bag down. Okay? And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut around that top, and it just comes right off. Okay? Nice and clean. So now when I push my batter down, it's ready to go. Okay? So here's the other thing. Twist the bag so that it tightens up. You'll see it starts to come out. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to come up to the pan. I'm going to put a little bit on the pan itself. Cool trick. It keeps the pan and the paper married together. So now when I go to pipe, the paper doesn't lift. Okay, so now you can see paper's in place. So now I'm going to pipe around and then swirl it off. Okay? You just keep tightening up the bag. You'll notice that this hand is not doing anything. Okay? And I keep tightening up the bag. It gets kind of low. Unwind it. Push down. Push down. And I'll be able to fill. Okay? And I'll fill that pan up. Once that pan's filled up, I'll show you how to make the dimples. So after you get your cookies piped, you can take a little bit of water, cold, and you can make a little dimple in the middle of your cookie. And I like to do this, I like to put jam in there, or a little bit of ganache, or you can put, you know, a Hershey Kiss or something else that's in the middle. But thumbprint cookies are kind of nice. We'll be actually putting together a raspberry jam for your final exam, which will have the bags available. But in the meantime at home, you can go ahead and bake these off, and it will hold that fingerprint. So make sure you get it kind of centered in the middle. Like I said, you can actually put a couple, as soon as they come out of the oven, you can put a couple chocolate chips in there, and that will create, it'll melt down into the middle, and then you can eat them. It's pretty tasty. So we're gonna put these in the oven at 350 degrees, just until they're light golden brown around the edges. So, our Spritz cookies, nice and buttery, just a little bit of brown. I could have maybe even gone a couple more minutes, maybe. But there it is. Nice, buttery, flaky. They're not puffy. It's a dense cookie. The flavor is butter and a little bit of vanilla. They're not too sweet. And like I said, you can see where that dimple is. You can pipe it really nice. You can take those large coins of chocolate, lay it right on top. It'll melt. You can actually place a Hershey Kiss on this and be just fine. Spritz Cookies. It's part of your final practical exam for this class, and it's something that all of you should be able to do. Enjoy.